What's up? What's up? What's up? I hope that everyone is doing well. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Y'all already know what I'm about to say. Let me get everything pulled up on my screens. I know what y'all thinking, Tim, why do you always wait until you start your live to pull stuff up on your screens? But you know what, man? That's what I'm talking about. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I do, man. Hold on one second. I got video bombed. Let me see. Bear with me just one moment. Let me get everything pulled up. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let me cut this volume down. All right. So we in this thing, y'all. So listen, what's going on? It's your man Tim Jackson. Thank you so much for joining me tonight for tonight's broadcast. We're gonna talk about these side hustles. It is Side Hustle Week. We got one more day left, and the last day is the recap. So this is going to be essentially the last session before the recap, and we're gonna get deep tonight. We're gonna get heavy tonight. We had Mr. Andre C. Hatchett pop on with us yesterday and talk about the notary business and the notary game. I hope some of you all had an opportunity to check out his website and even potentially purchase his course. I know people within the group who've actually purchased the course and who are making money right now. So, I'm not going to ever bring anybody on who's not going to be able to benefit to you from a financial standpoint and from a educational standpoint. And I'm also going to bring people that have been vetted and who come at you, who bring the real stuff. We're not going to have these fake, as I like to call these clubhouse, these clubhouse millionaires or professionals who have all the advice in the world, but they've never actually done it. So shout out to you guys. If you're here, say what's up. Let me know you're in the room. I can see your comments. But we're gonna get started. We're gonna talk about pick one, stick one, right? So listen, the one thing about side hustles is that they're plentiful, meaning that, what am I doing? Let me not get started. I'm just so excited about this topic. Let's go ahead and hear a brief word from our sponsor, and then we'll start the show.
Support a nonprofit that is making moves. Real Youth Mentoring is a nonprofit organization that provides support to young men across the United States, teaching them to be better scholars, better leaders, and productive members of their community. Through service, scholarship, and engagement, we address the systemic issues that often plague low-income communities while providing solutions rooted in economics and accountability. Visit our website, www.realyouthmentoring.org, to learn how you can join and learn ways that you can provide support. The change we need is here, and the change we need is now. Become a member and a supporter today.
All right. Let me see. Let me cut this off. People always want to hit your boy up when I'm talking to you guys. Let me cut this off. So let's get it in, guys. I'm not gonna stay here all night. It's a little bit late. I'm kind of hungry, and I do have an early morning. So pick one, stick one. You guys, let's understand the importance of knowing that whenever you choose a side hustle, you need to choose one side hustle. The cool thing about side hustles is that there's so many that you can choose from, literally. I mean, it's like getting another job that you're not obligated to from an hourly standpoint. And that's why many side hustles don't work, because there is no obligation to them from an hourly standpoint. It's what you put into it. So a lot of times mentally, we convince ourselves that this is going to work out for me or that's going to work out for me. And what we do is we get on the side hustle train where we start to just start picking anything, right? Let me tell you my personal story about side hustles, okay? And if you're in the room, say what's up to me. Let me know you're there. If you're watching this live on YouTube, make sure you leave a comment and subscribe to the show. So when I first came back from the military, if anyone knows me or knows my story, I've always been a hustler. I was one of those dudes that had my first job was playing the drums at my church. So I made $10 a week. Well, I got Andre stuff up here. I support Andre. He was on the last show. So this isn't that show. Let me go ahead and put, my information up there. There we go. So I got me my first job at 10 years old and played the drums $10 a week. After a while, I start parlaying that $10 into, purchasing candy at the dollar store. And after purchasing candy at the dollar store, I would flip it and sell it. So I had this big duffel bag I would take to school. And I had like my candy in it. I put it in my locker. And so I take so many, candies out. Like, all right, bet. I know when I go to third period, this person's going to want some Snickers. This person's going to want a Butterfinger. So I had like a little stash and I would sell that. I'd buy them $3 for $1, turn around, sell them for 50 cents a pop. So that was a pretty decent margin for a 13-year-old. Even when I was in high school for a while, we had metal detectors, so I had to get really, really crafty. I had first period gym class, and so I learned that if I had first period gym, then I didn't have to go through the main metal detectors. And so by the time I went to second period, everything was opened up, and so I still made a little profit. Eventually, I got ratted out by somebody, and they did a raid on me and took my product. But I always took the money and parlayed. Eventually, start cutting yards. Then eventually got a real job, and then just kept going from there. But I always kept a hustle going. And when I got back from the military, I got a job really quick. In fact, I got a job before I even got back to Dallas. Got a job offer after I got back to Dallas with a different company, but I ended up choosing the first job. And so I always knew that I needed extra money to do whatever with. I don't know what I was going to use this money with back then when I was in my early 20s, maybe going out and traveling and stuff like that. So I'll never forget a guy that I work with. His dad owned a independent. He was an independent contractor that sold DirecTV and Dish. I think it's a Dish Network. Dish Network. I guess that's that TV show. I don't know, but the Dish. So DirecTV and then Dish satellite services, and it was a pretty cool setup. Like you make $100 on every signing. Anytime you sign somebody, they give you $100. And so I did that for a little while, but I wasn't successful at it because I didn't really stick to it. It was one of those things where I had a ton of flyers. I sold it to I think my aunt still actually has DirecTV services, but I sold to my aunt, a couple of friends, got them signed up. And then I just kind of didn't really do anything with it. So then I ended up selling insurance, one of those multi-level marketing insurance companies that, you pay a couple $100, you become a licensed insurance agent. And so I'll never forget, man, I sold the insurance and I thought I was really good at it, but I didn't really sell a lot. So I obviously wasn't. I found that from my experience doing that, it was kind of hard because we only at the time had the license to sell life insurance. And, sadly, a lot of people just don't see the value in life insurance. Right now, they see the value in programs like GoFundMe. So we'll see a person die and then somebody will post, hey, my cousin just died. Here's the link. Help support us. And I always, I'm really cynical. So then I'll go to the cousin's page and look on it. And then I'm like, man, this cousin had, sometimes I'll see him holding like a stack of money. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just like, I'm not going to give him no money. They should have used that stack of money to get some life insurance. Life insurance is only like $20 a month. You know what I'm saying? Like this person probably could have paid up a policy for 5 years, especially if they had an alternative lifestyle, that, led to their untimely death. And I'm not here to judge, but I'm just telling you how my cynical brain thinks. Or I'll see people who, need a link. And in some cases, like I get it. Like for instance, somebody is, loses their life prematurely due to, some of the stuff we see in the news. And then they want to support the family afterwards. And I'll give to that. I get that. But just on the funeral, or just on GP, just that alone, I don't, I just found myself not doing it. But anyway, I sold life insurance and then that didn't work out because I wasn't consistent. And then what else did I sell? I sold a couple other things like, kind of those little, here, buy this and I'll make a little bit of money. But once I got into real estate, I even treated real estate the same way. That was my side hustle. I'd sell a house here, sell a house there. It wasn't really my business. And I can recall at one time, that's another thing I did. I got my loan officer's license. So then I started trying to peddle loans. And again, it was another side hustle that I didn't really put much into. But when I was doing that, I actually had the insurance license and I was selling DirecTV too. So here I am with a real job. I had a loan officer license, I had an insurance license, and then I was selling DirecTV, right? That's 3 side hustles in a job. And what I realized over the years is that I never made any money. I spent a lot of time, I spent a lot of energy and effort. I got really excited about these new opportunities, but I never made any money. And I found myself chasing opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Like I went to so many interest meetings about people inviting me to sell vitamins and people inviting me to sell, the noni juice and you name it. If a person has ever invited you to one of those Tuesday night meetings, I went to every single one of those meetings, right? And what I noticed over the years is that the people who are inviting you to those meetings are 100% committed to that process. I'm gonna say that again. The people inviting you to those meetings are 100% committed to that process. Most of the people showing up to those meetings are not, and they never will be. I think Dre said on our last meeting that like 85 to 90% of the people who purchase an online course to start an online business never complete the course. And that is astounding. But it also made me realize that I need to start selling courses because people are going to buy them anyway, right? Regardless if they do it or not. But I want you to think about this from your own perspective. How many side hustles are you currently engaging in, and why aren't you giving your time to just one side hustle? You see, for me, I tried to tie everything back into the side hustle, right? I justified and rationalized saying, okay, I got my real estate license, and people who own a house need to get life insurance, or let's rewind. People that own a house are going to need to get phone service and direct TV service. And then they also are going to have life insurance. And then they also might want to, live a healthy lifestyle. So they're getting vitamins or whatever. So I sold it as a one-trick pony, or a jack of all trades, one-stop shop idea. But statistically, we learned that doesn't necessarily work outside of maybe e-commerce or in a box store where they sell different types of products like a Walmart or, a Target or JCPenney. Typically, you don't find people that can offer multiple services that are successful. You have to essentially choose one. And even as a real estate agent, it was actually unethical for me to do loans. So I had to choose between one side hustle or the other one, and I chose real estate. But I never really took anything seriously because I had multiple options, and options tend to kill opportunities. All right, I'm gonna say that again. Options tend to kill opportunities. Once I finally told myself that real estate was gonna be my number one priority, I saw my real estate business grow exponentially. Is this starting? Go get the all right, there we go. I saw my real estate business grow exponentially. And I'm not talking about, so I can have a little spending money. I'm talking about so I could leave my other careers behind and focus solely on that. But what happened was, once I started seeing the money, I started noticing that more people also saw the money, and they also saw the success that was coming with what I was doing. So the offers to do those other side hustles just grew dramatically. Like, people, oh man, you sell real estate? You should do this. You should do that. You should do this. And it didn't even really make sense for me to do those things. Now, I'm saying this in contrast to you knowing that if you have a job, it's okay to have another side hustle to help you to gain more money and transition out of that job. But once you have multiple side hustles that don't necessarily align, or that don't, that take away from you being great in one area, then you're going to find yourself having to choose between the two, because it's going to be really hard to differentiate who you are. And what I was doing is, man, I had 2 or 3 different types of business cards. Like, when I was having a conversation about credit, I was doing this. When I was having a conversation about real estate, I was giving this card. When I was having a conversation about whatever. And it just became a situation where I was spending more money than I was making, because I was trying to push things, these different side hustles. But what I noticed was that people stopped taking me seriously. Like, people would see me coming and think, oh, here comes Tim trying to sell me something else. And once you become that guy or that gal, it is almost impossible to take that label off of you. And the only way that I was able to get that label off of me is because over a great period of time, I was able to completely just leave those other things alone and then start focusing on my main thing, right? That became my main, career. Now, even now, I plan to get my notary's license, because it's no different than going out to drive an Uber. That's how I look at it. My goal is to get out of debt. So I have my main hustle, my job, which is real estate. And then I have my side hustle, which can help me pick up some money on the side. And I'll be honest with you, if I start making more money in the notary business, I'm gonna kiss real estate goodbye. I mean, I just what it is now. Realistically, I'll never be able to make more money in the notary business unless I scale it really well and have people working for me and have my own network. And that's possible. But if I do, I'm going to kiss real estate goodbye because there's no need for me to have that many side hustles. Now, I'm going to answer the question that I know many of you all are thinking. Let me see. We got some comments. It says a jack of all trade is a master of none. Listen, and I had to take that label off. Listen, my grandfather taught me that years ago. I'll never forget my grandfather when I told him everything I was doing. He was like, hey, jack of all trades, master of none. He said it so quick and it flew by so fast. And it took me years. Like it always rang in my head every time I would start a new side hustle. So even in real estate, I have a niche. Like I don't do commercial. I don't do rentals. I don't do apartments. I only do home sales, buying and selling real estate. And so many agents come into real estate, like even within a side hustle, there's so many different niche markets that you'll wear yourself out by not focusing on the right one. People always ask me, what do you think I should do, Tim? Like, I want to get into real estate. What's the best advice? Because I want to help people with leases and I want to help people with this. I want to help people with that. And I say, focus on one thing. And they rarely listen to me and then they get burnt out and they leave, right? So what I want to touch on that I was going into before is I want you to understand this. Your side hustle is designed for two things. One, to help you eliminate the debt that you have, and two, to help you build the wealth. So people may say, well, Tim, what are you going to use your side hustle money for? The notary money, that is. The notary money has a specific purpose. I'm going to specifically use 100% of that money to eliminate debt. That's my goal. I have other means of income that I can put towards my wealth building, but specifically that side hustle is going to be for eliminating debt. So now that I have attached a purpose to that side hustle, then it's going to make it easier for me to focus so that I can scale that business and make the best of my time, right? While I'm using or working that side hustle so that I have an end goal in mind. You guys say that with me, an end goal in mind. If your side hustle is just so you can make a little money and there's no purpose to it, then you're going to always find yourself chasing other side hustles. If your side hustle has an end goal in mind, then you're going to apply the additional time, energy, and effort to that side hustle to help you accomplish that end goal. And eventually, when I get to the point to where I have eliminated all of my debt, and when I get to the point to where I have satisfied that goal that actually has a date to it, I have a spreadsheet that has all of my debt inside of it. And we have a timeline of when that's going to be done based on what we currently are bringing to the table. Then when I start adding the side hustle money to it, it's going to expedite it. I'm going to end that goal. And more than likely, I'm going to end that side hustle. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Come on, Tim, why would you end that side hustle? I mean, that's free money. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you end that side hustle? And the purpose of ending that side hustle is because now my goals are going to change. I want you to understand that over time, your goals are going to change. Your motivation for taking on an extra job or taking on an extra side hustle or getting into a career is going to change over the years. And if they don't change, then you have to question yourself and ask, am I being stagnant? Am I doing things that are going to benefit me long term? Like, what is my purpose and what is my motivation and what is my goal? When I'm thinking about what we're going to talk about next week, for those who are following from a chronological standpoint, I'm really looking forward to maybe talking about getting into, we're going to set some goals, right? Because those goals are what's going to motivate you and help you navigate through what you need to do to get from where you are to where you want to be. So understand this: the side hustle can help you get to another level, but until you choose one side hustle and stick to it, you're not going to master it. And if you don't master it, then you're going to find yourself spinning your wheels and thinking, well, I need to do something else. Consistency isn't sexy. It's boring. It's not going to make you want to get up and brag about what you're doing. But that consistency is going to create habits that's going to eventually lay the foundation for all the success that you're going to receive. Okay. So think about that as you begin to focus on the side hustle that you're going to apply to what you're looking to do. Someone said, this is where I am now. It took me a while to learn this. It took me a while too. Like I literally just came into this concept maybe 8 to 10 years ago. And you may say, well, that was a long time ago. But I made a lot of mistakes and I spent a lot of time, effort, energy, and money spinning my wheels on things that wasn't going to benefit me. I've gotten to a point now to where now I know how to say no to other opportunities. Okay. Now, guys, I'm bringing in experts who's teaching you things. You know, to some of you guys, the notary school may not be something that you want to do, and it may be like the opportunity that I'm speaking of. But my goal in this group or in these videos is to give you options so you can eliminate, the excuses or eliminate some of the problems that you're having. Okay. So again, for me, once I begin to do the notary work, I'll be able to assess the benefits of it. And if I feel like I can scale it, then I'll take another look at it. But again, your goals are going to change as time goes on. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a list of all of the side hustles that you're considering doing to help you make a little extra money. And I want to ask you this. If those side hustles were your main job, the one that you go to every day, the one that you hate sometimes, that you love sometimes, that you've connected and built rapport with some of your coworkers, or you've established a route to move up the corporate ladder or even through the military with rank, ask yourself this. Can I see myself doing this forever if I had to? Or is this something that is going to probably become boring to me to the point to where I won't put any energy into it within the next 3 to 6 months, right? Because you think about it, whenever you start these side hustle ventures, you start off with a lot of fire, like, oh my God, it's always that friend that comes and sells it to you like, you need to do this because I'm making this much money. And you're like, man, I could do that. And I know people who need this service. You know what? Let's get it. So then you pay for the course or you pay for whatever it is, licensing, and then you get into it and you start studying, you take your test, you do whatever you do. And then that first month or two in the field of that side hustle, you start not seeing the sales and the residual that you anticipated. So instead of putting more time, effort, and energy into perfecting that craft, what's going on, Brandon? Instead of doing that, you quit. And you say, well, man, this side hustle isn't for me. Let me go to the next side hustle. So then you go to the whole next side hustle and you get excited and you get fired up. And then 2 or 3 months later, you're like, well, this wasn't materializing like I thought it was. And then you go to the next one and it becomes a repetitive cycle. And you look up 5, 10 years from now and you tend to find the stuff when it's time for you to move, right? You find a closet with just with all kinds of stuff in it, right? From insurance pamphlets to DirecTV pamphlets, to old vitamins that you didn't sell, those samples you never got. Like you start looking at, your little junk drawer in your junk closet and you start asking yourself, who am I? What did I become, right? How come I can't, complete a task, right? Then you check yourself into counseling. I'm just kidding with you guys, but it's going to cause a bit of defeat to your psyche because you never really saw anything through. But also the people around you who love you, they're going to also see this. And you're going to perpetuate these habits onto your children. You're going to perpetuate these habits on your significant other. You're going to perpetuate the notion to your friends who are potential clients or the people who are close to you that, he or she is always doing these things. And every 6 months to a year, here they are coming around trying to sell me something. And they're going to stop picking up the phone when you call. They're going to stop responding to your text message. They're going to stop inviting you places because we've all been places where that one person is there at the birthday party, at the 2-year-old's birthday party. And it's like, hey, how you doing? I'm Tim. What's your name? Hey, I'm Johnny. I'm a insurance agent, such and such. I do notaries. I sew socks up. They got holes in them. Like they give you their whole resume. And it's like, all right, man, here's my card. Let me get your number. Let me call you. Then you give them your number and they call and giving you the spiel. And every time they get something, that's the only time they call you. There's no relationships being built. There's nothing that's being done to add value to your life. They're just constantly trying to sell you something. And eventually you block their number or you stop responding to them. And it becomes awkward when you see them again at the next, birthday party next year, right? Hey man, I've been calling you. What's been going on? And a lot of us are too passive aggressive to tell them, man, every time you call me, you're trying to sell me something. Like you're not really adding value. Like I've gotten to the point now in my age. I heard this saying that says when you're 20, you care what everyone thinks about you. When you're 40, you don't give a damn what anyone thinks about you. And when you're 60, you realize that nobody was thinking about you at all. So I'm at that 40 mark. Like I don't really give a damn what anybody thinks. At this point in the game, if I feel like it's not going to benefit me, I'm going to tell you. I had a gentleman reach out to me, and I didn't know this guy from Adam. He's the next door neighbor in our building. And if he watches this, oh, well, it's not a dig to you. I'm just explaining my experience. And so good brother, very nice guy, came into the office, introduced himself, asked me for my number. I gave him my number. We exchanged numbers. You always want to have your neighbor's contact just in case the building catches on fire or there's a sprinklers go off and they can call you and let you know what's going on. And so he gave me a call and he's like, hey, man, I got this business proposal for you. I want you to take a look at it. And essentially it was me going in with him to purchase a bunch of equipment for, something that he had going on. And he was saying he needed somebody with great credit, who could help acquire the equipment on a loan. And he gave me a good spiel, and he was really nervous when he was doing it. Like, and I had to commend the guy. I was like, man, I just met this guy, and he's already asking me if he can use my credit to purchase, $20,000 worth of equipment. Like, that's really bold, But I respectfully declined. I let him do his spiel, and I let him get through it. I wasn't rude. I felt like he needed the practice, on his sales pitch, because somebody's going to see what he's offering as an opportunity. Not me at the time. And I told him, I said, man, I appreciate you for even considering me for this. I want to give you your kudos because, man, you did a really good presentation. But at the time, I'm just not interested. That's not a part of my purpose. I have a purpose that I'm looking to follow right now. And I have a plan in place that's going to allow me to get to my purpose. So, this was not in the equation. But thank you. I appreciate the offer. 10 years ago, I would have been like, man, let me think about it, and y'all get back to you. And I just never get back to people. And then they see me and then there's some type of animosity because I've given them my word that I'll get back to them. And I'm just like, I done forgot about it because I have no desire to do it. So, I'm saying that to say a lot of you all have been in that position. You're going to be in that position pretty soon. And if you don't have a purpose tied to the reason why you need your side hustle, then you're going to find yourself jumping from side hustle to side hustle to side hustle, feeling depleted, feeling like you're not making any money, feeling like you're wasting your time, which in many cases you are, because many of those side hustles require the buy-in of courses to take, licenses to get, or, company buy-in. Most of the multi-level marketing side hustles that I know want you to put up at least $100, sometimes $200 to have access to all their systems. That's really where they make all their money. If they can get you to buy into the system and then get you to recruit, however many people under your downline, which most people don't like recruiting and they hate sales anyway, naturally. And they understand that, there's probably a 75% chance that you're not going to do it, but they've already got the money out of you. And that was the end goal from the beginning, so I want you all to consider that. I want you to make a list of all the side hustles that you have considered over the years or over the last 6 months that you feel like that you want to do. And then I want you to ask yourself, can I do this for the rest of my life if it was the last thing I had to do or the only thing I had to do? Then I want you to choose the one that makes the most sense as it relates to your purpose. Some people, a friend of mine, he works in IT, but he got a side hustle underwriting home loans, right? Those don't correlate in any stretch of the imagination. But for him, the challenge of the underwriting of the home loans was something that he really wanted to do. And he understood that if I can get this gig and start doing these underwriting these loans, then I can eliminate my debt. And he was like, man, I've eliminated, nearly 6 figures worth of debt in the last, 7 or 8, 9 months. So it's definitely benefiting him. And to him, that's all he's doing. He doesn't see the point in doing anything else because that's giving him what he needs to accomplish his purpose. And, I said, well, are you going to do that full time? He said, well, honestly, it only takes me, 4 to 5 hours a day to complete my workload. As long as I get through everything, I get, I get a bonus, every month if my loans get approved. But, I don't see myself adding a third side hustle because these two alone monopolize a lot of my time, and the time, effort, and energy that I put in to learn this craft, it has greatly benefited me. So I want you to figure out the one. I want you to really take some time. Take 2 to 3 hours researching the pros and the cons. Okay. Now, if the pros outweigh the cons, definitely pursue it. If they don't, definitely question if this is something that you want to do, because sometimes these side hustles have a really high upside, but sometimes they have a really low downside. Okay. And then I want you to stick to that thing. Commit yourself to that side hustle for at least a year, okay? At minimum 12 months, and commit so many hours out of your week to dedicate to learning your craft and practicing your craft, right? So with me, I said I can commit, about 5 hours a week right now to learning the mobile notary business and taking on gigs, right? The average mobile notary signing is 45 minutes. I've done the research on that. Sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's longer, but on average, about 45 minutes worth of work, and that includes, going to the place, sitting with the people, and then getting back to the office and uploading everything and sending it off, right? So I can do 45 minutes. 5 hours a week is essentially 45 minutes a day, right? And if I can make $75 to $100 in 45 minutes, and that's worth my time. That aligns kind of, to my hourly rate. I make a little bit more than that hourly in real estate, but that's not a bad little gig. And if I'm applying an extra $500, to my income every week, I mean, that's $2,000 a month. What's that? $24,000 a year. And that will help me get to my financial goal a whole lot quicker. And I feel like, if I can do that, then that's going to benefit me. Now, here's another thing. The people who work with you in your side hustle, all they need to know about you is your side hustle. Don't be that guy. Don't be that gal who shows up to the side hustle with a pamphlet that has all 20 of your jobs and your side hustles. You don't want to commingle the hustles inside their mind, because people will naturally not take you seriously if you're doing if you go the jack of all trades route. It's just a human nature, right? So never cross parallel those, right? When I was doing DirecTV, or when I worked at the bank and I was selling real estate or in the real estate field, I didn't really like to tell people that I was doing both. The people that found out and they became my clients at a later time, that was a good thing, but I didn't walk around introducing myself and giving out my business card while I was at one business for the business at the other business, if that makes any sense. All right. Okay, guys, I'm not going to talk you all to death. I see something just came around. It says, let me see, what does this comment say? Oh, that's the same one. So I'm not going to take all your time, you guys. I want you all to have a good night. I want you to think about that. We're going to recap a side hustle week tomorrow. But thank you so much for your time, and I'll talk to you soon.